Good afternoon, Will on Safety community. Have you ever wondered what really happens, when the HSE walks through the door of your workplace? All right, in 2026, inspections are sharper, faster, and more focused than ever. Whether you're a small business owner, a sales manager, safety lead, site manager, right, this video will show you exactly what to expect. You'll get an understanding of what triggers an inspection, and also how to stay compliant. So the first thing to talk about then is what triggers a HSE inspection. This is wide and very varied, but it can come from things like complaints from workers or the public, accidents, near misses, or riddle reports. High risk industries or repeat offenders. Obviously, if people are repeating offences, HSE will take a close look at them. High risk industries are obviously more of a target because there's just more that can go wrong. They may well do random spot checks or a campaign of targeting. So, for example, they might look at distilleries because maybe that's their target for the year, or there might have been a influx of incidents at those type of businesses. Okay, so what do inspectors look for when they arrive on your site? So they're going to look for evidence of risk assessment and control measures. They're going to look at your permit to work systems, your contractor management systems. They're going to have a look at training records and competence. Especially if we're having injuries or a lot of near misses, they're going to want to make sure that the people doing the work are competent in what they're doing. They're going to have a look at physical conditions, things like housekeeping, is signage up, is PPE mandated, and is it being worn? Is it being worn correctly? So this is the part that everybody dreads, but what happens if you're found to be non-compliant? Well, there's a few things that can happen. You could get verbal advice or written improvement notices. You could get a prohibition notice, which would be an immediate stop. If the HSE has to write to you, for example, with a written improvement notice, that will also attract a fee for intervention. So it's a small charge. If things are really bad, though, there's potential for prosecutions and or fines. So how would you prepare for these type of inspections or for these types of either announced or unannounced visits? Well, as a site, we should be keeping all of our documents up to date. Make safety visible. Let's make sure when the inspector comes to site, all the appropriate signage is up, easily understood, noticeable areas, high risk areas, etc. Make sure PPE that has been mandated through a PPE assessment is being worn. Permits to work, if there's a necessity for permits to work, make sure we've got permits for that work. If people are working on kit and equipment that requires lockout tagout, let's make sure that lockout tagout methodology is applied and correctly documented. We should train your team to speak confidently about safety. If you're doing a lot of really good stuff, just make it the norm to speak about that stuff. So train your team to speak with confidence about safety. Another useful tool, and it can be useful, is the use of mock inspections or external audits, everybody gets a bit panicked when there's a site survey or an audit, okay? And they think, oh God, what happens if, if things are found? It's like any drill, right? So if I go back to my military days, okay, you drill something over and over again until it becomes the norm. So use mock inspections, use external audits, and that'll just get used to people seeing people, looking at the site in a bit closer detail.